I couldn't breathe. It felt like I was trapped. I was in a tunnel no more than 2 feet wide. My air supply was limited and my vision restricted. But right before a panic attack could take hold, I remembered the 20 firefighter recruits that were watching me. I was their mental resilience instructor, literally there to teach them how to handle situations just like this. And while not how I imagined I'd be teaching this skill, I got myself out of the tunnel and the burning structure. So how did I end up in full bunker gear, inside a confined space at a fire academy? 2 weeks earlier, the training captain asked, "Would you like to join the recruits and experience the demands of the job?" Yeah. Until then, I'd only been there to teach them yoga. Yes, yoga. Once I started training alongside the recruits, I realized how much of what I was teaching them on the yoga mat, breath control, mental focus, body awareness, could be applied directly to their job. Curious, I started asking first responders 2 questions. How much of your job is mental? 90% or more. And how much training are you receiving for that aspect of your job? 10% or less. With that, I started building a training protocol that would be job-specific and culturally informed to teach first responders how to process stress, build resilience, and enhance performance through yoga. I sat in the classrooms, did the drills, rode along on calls, toured the jails, and sat with dispatchers, bringing this practice back to who it was originally intended for: warriors. And it worked. 2 clinical research studies on the Yoga for First Responders protocol showed a significant decrease in post-traumatic stress symptoms, an increase in resilience, and evidence that this training could prevent post-traumatic stress in active duty first responders. I've used that protocol to train thousands of first responders around the country. I've found myself surrounded by 30 Chicago police officers, all in downward-facing dog. I've taught breath work at 2 a.m. to high-performance firefighters and showed dispatchers how to regulate their stress while on shift. First responders can experience more trauma in a single shift than most of us will experience in a lifetime. And they train for these kinds of emergencies from the beginning of their career: CPR, search and rescue, operating emergency vehicles. And the training itself shows them what kind of stress and pressure lie ahead. But what they're not trained for, the personal impact of that stress and pressure, or how to process it. And this is why we see high rates of depression, injury, post-traumatic stress, and suicide, which is 300 to 400% more likely than line-of-duty death. So how do downward-facing dogs solve this problem? Here's what most people don't know. Yoga is a 5,000-year-old practice rooted in Eastern science and philosophy. And its original intention is to train mastery of the mind an optimal functioning of the mind-body connection, or more formally known as the psychophysiological system. And the golden thread that connects the mind to the nervous system, to the body, is the breath. And breath work is the foundation of the yoga practice. But here in the West, yoga is typically branded as a stretching exercise or a way to alleviate stress. And my students tell me that when they think of the word yoga, they imagine a skinny white lady stretching on a beach, not a training tool for a cop. Yet none of the ancient yogic texts mention anything about stretching or flexibility being the goal. And the yoga masters don't typically advise avoiding stress, because stress is inevitable and, when used wisely, can be a very powerful tool. The body's stress response is a brilliant survival mechanism. Whether the threat is running from a lion or public speaking, hormones flood the body, giving it a surge of strength to fight or flee, and temporarily pausing necessary physiological functions for health and longevity in order to redirect that energy to survival. But when stress becomes chronic, day in and day out, as it does with first responders, the nervous system remains activated. Physiological functions remain paused, causing health, mood, sleep, and performance all to suffer. This isn't just true for first responders. Many of us are living in a chronic state of activated stress because some of us, maybe most of us, have never been taught how to train our minds or regulate our nervous systems. We've been taught to brush our teeth twice a day, change the oil in our car regularly, and go to the gym daily. But we often don't think about maintaining what's going on the inside, the mind, the nervous system, the subtle body. The subtle body doesn't bleed or ache tangibly like the physical body, so it's easy to ignore. Until now. Thanks to biofeedback and neuroimaging, we can now see the impact of yoga techniques such as breath work and meditation. Brain waves change, heart rhythms regulate, hormones shift, and neural pathways grow in areas tied to emotional regulation and decision-making. The power of the mind is now measurable, making yoga not just an ancient wisdom, but an evidence-based neuroscience. And if you are still not convinced that yoga has any other benefit besides stretching, and that there is no way first responders are doing it, here's what some of my students have said. A firefighter once told me this training saved his life. A cop used it to stay regulated during a 12-hour standoff. A dispatcher changed morale for her entire team by offering 15-minute breathwork sessions. And a once skeptical paramedic now says he can't live without it. The number one killer of first responders now has a solution, and it's available to anyone: teachers, nurses, parents, entrepreneurs, the film industry. One crew member right here in New Mexico told me about the rising rates of depression and suicide due to the constant pressure. What if we made breathwork training as cool as going to the gym? And training our minds as normal as brushing our teeth? We'd see less violence, burnout, and depression. More connection, compassion, and resilience, because we'd be training the part of the brain responsible for those things. And yoga would become widely recognized as the essential training for regaining command over your brain, body, and entire experience, just as I did to get myself out of the tunnel at the Fire Academy. When was the last time you took control of your mind by changing your breath patterns? If you'd like to try it with me now, sit or stand with a tall spine, feet grounded into the floor, one hand on the chest, one hand on the belly, and a slow inhale through the nose. Feel the belly inflate, then the ribs, then the chest. Now pause. Slow exhale, chest depresses, ribs deflate, and belly deflates. You just did yoga, and you didn't even need yoga pants or a yoga mat, or to even walk into a yoga studio. Because now, like so many first responders, you hold the key to mastering your mind.